Well, since I've was finished playing almost 20 years ago, I have not woke up from, pain-free, whether it's back or especially my two knees, and now it's been my neck and the degenerative process in 2 decades. And when I say I've not woke up pain-free in 2 decades, it's not a made-for-TV, made-for-radio type talk. It's the truth. There's very few times I've woke up, popped out of bed, and said I'm pain-free. So I've been living in pain. It's gotten to the point now where this is normal for me. Like 3 surgeries on my right knee, 1 on my left, shoulder surgery, neck surgery, back surgery. It's gotten to the point where I can't remember what the other C on the other side looks like. So it's been a minimum of 2 decades since I've got out of bed pain-free. Bad. I average probably 4 hours of sleep a night if I'm lucky. If I were to get 4.5 straight hours of sleep, I'd wake up and do somersaults all the way to work. And that's not a woe is me thing, that's just a fact. I've learned how to, I'm to the point now if I get 6.5 hours sleep, I've slept too much, and that has to do with all these years of waking up, going to bed at midnight, waking up at 1:30, getting back to bed, waking up at 3:25, waking up at 4:45. It's about an every 2-hour process, and it's not because that's my normal routine. It's because it's become my normal routine because of the pain and the injuries of never being able. And then my girlfriend will tell you that laying in bed at night, it affects the person next to you, because I'm not a snorer, but I am about every 45 minutes, half hour, 20, constantly moving. I must move 2,000 times a night because I can never find a long-term comfort position. And I'm not a meds guy where you take sleep aids and all that, so I've just learned to deal with it. But it's a miserable feeling, and one of those that at its worst, it's sleepless nights, and those happen minimum a couple times a week. No question about it. Now, I'm one of those guys that I still, once I'm up and going, it does affect it, and I say, well, I just overcome it because I got to. We got to go to work and do our thing. And I'm sitting there when I hear people, and I'm not old, when I hear people say, man, I was up early and running and playing basketball at the gym and stuff, I'm like, gosh dang, wouldn't it be great to, I don't want to go play golf and have to take 3 days before you play again because your knee swelled up. So yeah, it's affecting my quality of life because it's the only thing that affects my sleep. And if I sit down, and my job requires sitting in front of a mic for 6 hours a day doing radio, and if you're not up moving around, by the end of the time, it takes you about 3 minutes before your knees and back get loose and you're actually walking freely and smoothly again. My girlfriend called me, what's that, like a big old sloth, like you get up and go to the restroom in the middle of the night, you're dragging 1 foot because your knee's sore and it takes that long to get stiff, and you can hear it. It's like, gosh, what an unnerving sound. Oh my gosh, that's full peace for me. It really is, and it's full peace for me. I would love to be able to wake up and go to the gym at 6 in the morning and play basketball again. Favorite sport. I would love to, like I say, play golf and not have it to where my knee or back hurt that you couldn't play again for 10 days. I used to, play 36 holes. I couldn't do that. I can't do that anymore. And I would love to, and this is going to sound crazy. I was talking to my gal the other day, and do you know it's been about a decade since I ran? Since I just jogged on the pavement for 45 minutes. And not that I can't, but what happens is it's not the running may hurt, it's the recovery time. You're like, oh my gosh, I went there, and that's crazy because I'm not 90. Right. And again, case in point, I remember a handful of years ago, 15 years ago or so, I was jogging in a July 4th, what are they called, 5K? Mm-hmm. And a guy pushing a double baby stroller and pulling a dog ran by me. And there's a little perspective here. I was a highly trained world-class athlete, And like I said, there's guys that are worse than me, but for me, to be able to get up and go play a sport, and I could still throw and stuff, but to play a sport, because I'm training kids all on the field, I'm on the field all the time training quarterbacks, to play a sport and not have to wait a week to recover to do it again, or a month. To be able to do that, come back the next day and say, man, I can't wait to play 3 more hours of hoops tomorrow. Something little like that, or to get on an airplane and not be irritable 15 minutes into it because you're sitting in coach and the person puts their seat back and now you only got a half an inch, and because you can't stretch your leg, that after a 2-hour flight you're miserable for 2 days and it feels like you've got a hangover and that you've got that flight jet lag, and you haven't even changed time zones for the most part. That's miserable. Yeah, and for guys that, I don't know, there's, with all the different procedures, exactly what put your finger on what exactly, and I'm not as smart as you with the name, but you remember all the stories about Peyton Manning and guys, and I've heard of retired players that have got stem cell treatment. Matter of fact, I had one, and I'll leave his name out, former head coach who coached a bunch of players, said it literally is changing their life. I had a friend of mine that I do a radio show with. When he knew I was doing this, he sent me a text back, said, one of his buddies did it and said it's, a former player, and said it's miraculous is the word he used. And all the rumors, and I think they're probably true, but when Peyton Manning, people don't realize when Peyton Manning came after the injury with his neck and back, where he went to Denver, and people were like, well, are you going to sign a guy like that? He can't even throw a 12-yard curl route because the nerve damage is so bad. Well, the 3 or 4 years he spent in Denver, he went to 2 Super Bowls and had the most passing. He's had some of his best seasons of his career, pushing towards 40 after that. The difference is he had to leave the country, supposedly. I'm just using that from what we read. I have not sat down and say, did you do it? But from all indications, doing that is, and the thing I love is we don't no longer have to fly 8,000 miles to go get stem cell treatment. I get to do it right in my hometown.
Perfectly said. You ready to go get started?
I am.